There are deep wounds in the judicial system. Report from UNHRC. Government suffered a large loss due to the bond transactions, says the Auditor General. A rail accident that claimed 2 lives. Media go to residents who have lost the right to rest in peace. Elephants run amok in Thalaba.
Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to our Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Bandit Jai Singh. A very good evening to you. Let's now take a look at your stories in detail. The report compiled by the UN Special Rapporteur on the independence of judges and lawyers, Monica Pinto, following her visit to Sri Lanka last year, was presented by her successor Diego Garcia Sayan at 35th session of the Human Rights Council in Geneva today. The report notes there are deep wounds in the judicial system despite the war ending in 2009.
Lack of equal representation of minority groups in the prosecution services and the police forces a problem. Problems relating to language is serious and having a serious effect on justice, on the likelihood of attaining a fair process if you belong to the Tamil community. The authorities were urged to put in place a transitional justice mechanism to tackle the past comprehensively, and the stress was made that there ought to be impartial, credible and effective authorities working on the transitional process. Progress in the past 2 years, but an emphasis on the fact that more could have been done to demonstrate a real commitment to bringing in deep-seated reform and effective justice system.
The Auditor General believes a loss was caused to the government as a result of the central bank accepting 10 billion rupees in bids as opposed to what was offered and recommended at the bond auction on the 27th of February 2015. Newsfirst Zulfiq Farzan reports on day 49 of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry.
Auditor General Gamini Vijayasinghe testified the Central Bank of Sri Lanka had gone for a 30-year bond to raise funds at a time when there were other least cost methods available. He said the Treasury Operations Department had wanted money to pay interest for bonds, however added that at the time there were sufficient funds available to make the payments. When the Auditor General raised questions on the Monetary Board's so-called decision to issue 30-year bonds, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka had failed to provide justifiable reasons. The Central Bank had reasoned that it was to attract foreign investors. However, according to the annual report for the respective year, interest from foreign investors on treasury bills had declined. He had paid more focus in his investigations on the auctions held on the 27th of February 2015 and 29th of March 2016 because the amounts obtained through bids were greater than the amount offered. He said the central bank had failed to submit material to indicate the criteria that was used to fix the coupon rate for the controversial auction at 12.5%. A total of 20.708 billion rupees had been received at the auction on the 27th of February 2015. According to the Auditor General's report, during 146 minutes of the auction, 7.108 billion rupees were received, of which 2 billion rupees was from Perpetual Treasuries Limited and 5.108 billion rupees from other primary dealers. During the last 8 minutes, 13.6 billion rupees had been received in bids, of which 13 billion rupees was from Bank of Ceylon on behalf of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, while only 0.6 billion rupees were from other primary dealers. According to the Auditor General's calculations, the estimated loss by accepting bids amount to 10.058 billion rupees as opposed to accepting 1.308 billion of the face value was 889,358,050 rupees. The estimated loss by accepting bids amounting to 10.058 billion rupees as opposed to accepting 2.608 billion rupees of the face value initially recommended by the Public Debt Department was 688,538,600 rupees. He said if the 1 billion rupees was accepted, the remainder could have been raised through direct placements at a rate of 10+%. Though direct placements are considered a least cost method, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka had not given complete details on the method, citing a principle of secrecy which led to the Auditor General to believe there was an issue in transparency in the method. Despite the method being used to control interest rates, the Auditor General believes there was a possibility for impropriety to take place. The Registrar of Companies, Nihal Ranjan Sirivardhana, also testified before the Commission today. Before the commencement of the sessions today, President's Counsel Nihal Fernando stood up and raised an objection with regard to the private company accounts being produced through the Registrar of Companies. He cited that private company accounts should not be presented as they are confidential material. However, the Commission informed the attorney that these details have been presented to the Commission through an affidavit, and these affidavits will be made available to the attorneys representing the concerned parties.
Addressing the Sovereign and Banking Forum hosted by Fitch Ratings recently, Governor of the Central Bank Indrajit Kumaraswamy stated that Sri Lanka has been living beyond its means, with recurrent expenditure higher than revenue.
He stated that Sri Lanka has been able to sustain this only because of concessional loans from the World Bank and Asian Development Bank, with a grace period of 10 years and maturity of 20 to 30 years. The Governor has proposed a sturdy monetary policy framework which aims to have a flexible inflationary targeting regime moving from a monetary aggregate with assistance from IMF. Former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Vijay Wardner, has said that the Governor of the Central Bank is walking a tightrope, balancing every single step that he takes.
In the current allocation of work of the government, the central bank and state banks have been taken away from the Ministry of Finance and listed under the Ministry of Economic Affairs and the Ministry of Enterprises Development. And when these two institutions have been listed under different ministries, it will become practically difficult for the Minister of Finance to exercise an effective supervision of the two institutions, and the result would be that the government would not be able to coordinate the work properly. And also it is illogical in the sense that any government will have to list similar government institutions under a single ministerial portfolio, and if it is not done, there will be conflicts of as well as operational issues which the government will have to face. So in that sense, it is nothing but proper that the central bank and the state bank should be returned to their respective home, all the Minister of Finance, rather than being listed under a different ministry.
The remains of two brothers who lost their lives while attempting to take a selfie in close proximity to the railway line in the Kolpiti area were brought to their residence today. This accident stands as a tragic reminder to all selfie maniacs who constantly search for the next best selfie.
These are the final photographs snapped by Sashi and Tilakshana, who passed away last night after being knocked down by a train. The two brothers had travelled to the Kolpiti beach to celebrate the elder brother's return from Singapore. The younger brother was knocked down by the train as he was attempting to snap a selfie with his elder brother. The elder brother, who attempted to save his sibling, also died in the accident. A CCTV camera on a nearby building captured the entire incident.
I came here for some work and saw a group snapping selfies. Both the victims were here. I saw the train approaching, but I didn't think they would remain on the track. Then suddenly I heard a scream.
The victims have been identified as 24-year-old Sashi Ranavira and 12-year-old Tilakshana Lakshan Ranavira, residents of Anuradhapura. An old boy of St. Joseph's College in Anuradhapura, Sashi Ranavira had returned to the country after completing his higher education in the field of hospitality management in Singapore. We came to Colombo from Anuradhapura to pick him up as his flight landed at 4 p.m. The younger one said he wanted to go to Golface, so we went. He jumped to the middle and the elder boy saw what was happening, so he jumped to catch the younger one. The skull of the younger victim, which was unaccounted for after the accident, was discovered from the Gampaha train station today. The remains of the two victims were brought to their Anuradhapura residence this afternoon. Accidents of this nature have become common along the stretch of railroad extending from Kolpiti to Wellavatha. The main cause of these accidents is the carelessness of train commuters as well as individuals who arrive in the area for recreational purposes. A 24-year-old youth died in close proximity to the Kahawa train station yesterday after being knocked down by the Mathura-bound intercity train from Jaffna. The accident had occurred while a husband and wife were posing for a photograph.
There was a couple snapping selfies. That is when they were knocked by the train and thrown towards this area.
They were walking here and there and snapping selfies. The youth are being destroyed because of these selfies. According to the Railways Department, over the past 6 months, nearly 20 selfie-related train accidents have been reported from across the island. Across the world too, there have been multiple fatalities caused by thrill seekers who travel in search for the ultimate selfie.
Residents of Daban Villa could stage a protest today against a group forcibly taking over the location of the Daban Villa Public Cemetery.
This public cemetery, located in the Ambalangoda Divisional Secretariat area, spans across 2 acres. This footage shows the manner in which the land has been taken over by a certain group. Area residents marched to the Divisional Secretariat today to officially inform the Ambalangoda Divisional Secretary regarding the illegal occupants. The area residents were not allowed to enter the Divisional Secretariat and therefore resorted to stage a demonstration outside the Secretariat. A tense situation arose when the protesters attempted to enter the Divisional Secretariat once more. The protesters dispersed after an official promised to provide them with a discussion with the Divisional Secretary next Monday. A protest was staged in the Norwood area in Hatton today against a teacher assaulting a student. The protest was staged by the parents of a group of students. Journalists who attempted to cover the protest were obstructed by teachers attached to the school. The student who was assaulted has been admitted to the Dikoya Base Hospital, while the teacher in question was placed in remand custody for a week by the Hatton magistrate.
The case filed by the Attorney General against the Venerable Galagodatte Gnanasara was taken up before the Court of Appeal today. The case pertains to the alleged interruption caused by the Thera to court proceedings, thereby resulting in the contempt of court.
The Venerable Gnanasara Thera was not present in court when the matter was taken up today. Warning the Thera's legal counsel that a warrant will be issued for his arrest if he didn't appear at the next court date, the bench presiding over the case fixed the matter for trial. The President's counsel, appearing on behalf of the Thera, informed court that he was not able to be present in court due to security reasons, as death threats had been levelled against him. The bench, however, informed the theorist's counsel that it was his duty to appear before court regardless of all circumstances. The counsel informed court that he would take steps to ensure that his client would be present at the next court date.
Minister of Social Empowerment, Welfare and Candian Heritage SP Dissanayake expressed concern for the rise in racial violence during a function held in Kandy.
We are at a time when we don't have a lot of members from minorities. There may be monks who love Gotabaya. Even we love him for the things that he did to ensure our war victory. However, we detest the extremist ideologies that he possesses. We did so back then and we do so today as well. It was Gotabaya who created and nurtured the Bodhabala Sena. Today, if the Bodhabala Sena is involved in racial violence, then Gotabaya is also involved in it.
Teachers associations point out that there are over 60,000 vacancies in teaching that are yet to be filled. Failing in the recruitment process on the part of the government are compounding the issues facing the public education system.
A protest was staged opposite the Sripali Mahavidyalaya in Athimale by parents of children citing the dearth of teachers at the school. The protesters charged that the educational activities of their children are being hindered due to the lack of teachers. There are 713 children at the Sripali Mahavidyalaya from grades 1 to 13. However, there are only 30 teachers from the entire school, while the allocation for number of teachers is 47. The parents charge that even these teachers are required to teach in different schools on a number of days. The OIC of Athimale arrived in the location of the protest and engaged in a discussion with the protesters. Thereafter, he inquired into the matter from regional educational officials. The protesters dispersed after the OIC informed them that the director of the regional education had granted them a meeting with him at 2 p.m. tomorrow.
There are excessive numbers of teachers in popular schools and schools in urban areas. However, there is a dearth of teachers in rural areas. This makes it clear that there wasn't a clear plan adopted when recruiting teachers in the recent past. Recently in Parliament, the Minister of Education stated that we have an excess of 40,000 teachers and that we have vacancies for 60,000. This is a joke. If we want to fill these vacancies, we should strengthen the system of our national colleges of education and we should recruit teachers in accordance with their subjects.
However, Minister of Education Akliviraj Karyavasam stated that steps are being taken to fill these vacancies.
We have informed the provincial councils to give us a list of the vacancies they have. We have told them that we will be recruiting teachers for these vacancies in the near future. We have already made arrangements to recruit nearly 7,000 teachers. The Gazette will be sent out either tomorrow or the day after. We will also be recruiting graduates of national colleges of education. The Ministry of Education is yet to recruit 2014 A-level graduates into national colleges of education. The transfer of teachers should also be made without any political intervention. Whenever there is a protest, they recruit teachers, but they don't take the bigger picture into consideration before doing such things.
Private bus operators have expressed their delight regarding the proposed bus fare hike scheduled for next month. However, the move is being widely criticized by commuters.
Deputy Minister of Transport Ashoka Singha commented on the proposed hike in bus fares during an event held in Kurunegala yesterday.
If the discussion moves ahead, then there is a chance that bus fares will increase by around 6 to 6.5%. This is currently in the discussion stage.
The All Island Bus Owners Union requested a 10% increase in bus fare from the government because the bus operators are in trouble. The interest on lease payments has increased by 100%. Prices of spare parts have doubled. Monthly expenditure has increased, so we definitely need an increase in bus fares. We all call on the government to amend the 9 rupee minimum bus fare as well.
An annual increase in bus fares has been suggested in order to keep up with the expenditure of the bus industry. Even though the fares are increased, the bus owners don't receive the benefits. They go to a third party.
Even though steps are being taken by officials to increase bus fares, this is the state of some private buses that operate in Colombo.
There is no relief. If we pay 9 rupees, we do not receive a balance. When the fare is 12 rupees, we are charged 15 rupees. The commuters are addressed in an indecent way. They overload the buses and do not listen to our concerns. We request that bus fares be fair for all.
Addressing a media briefing today, convener of the Frontline Socialist Party, Pubudu Jayagoda, notes that the politician who levelled threats against the media should issue an apology or withdraw his statement.
The current administration came into power after they spoke of things like media freedom. If they begin to make statements saying that they are going to kill journalists, this becomes a serious issue. There's a history of such acts as well. A journalist named Vimal Surendra, who was attached to the Divina newspaper, disappeared and was killed after several allegations were raised against him. A politician from Wattala had invited him to attend a meeting with him. The journalist disappeared when he was returning home after the meeting. Media organizations leveled allegations against this politician from Wattala for murdering journalists who wrote against him. Now a senior politician attached to the UMP has threatened the journalist in public. We don't consider this to be a joke. We see this as a serious issue. The government must immediately announce whether this politician's statement represents the view of the government. The politicians involved must either issue an apology or withdraw his statement. We cannot escape by giving ridiculous answers like, "I got angry" when they ask questions.
The foundation stone for the Satsena Gama in Tissamharama, which is being built under the Jalipibuduna Gamudagam program, was laid today by Minister Sajith Premadasa.
The Udagamane will consist of 25 homes. The minister also presented cricketing gear with 48,000 rupees to Ramesh Dimenta, a budding young cricketer representing the under-15 team of the Debaravava National School.
Before preaching to others, Bandula Gunawardena should go before a mirror and think about the things that took place during his time. Thousands of acres were given away to national and multinational corporations so that they can increase their profits. Can you remember how the lands of the poor were sold to dirt cheap prices? The people who cleaned out the national treasury are now levelling allegations at us. According to the constitution, Mahinda Rajapaksa can never be president of the country once more.
An elephant collided with a motor car plying along the Kurunegala-Anuradhapura main road.
The accident took place at around 5 a.m. today in the Thalav area. The vehicle in question suffered considerable damages as the elephant fell onto the car.
අලියා දැන් මේ පැත්තේ ඉඳලා ආවා. අයින්කොට දැන් කාර් එක දැන් මෙහෙලා ආවා. ආපු ගමන් මේ අලියා මෙතන සයිඩ් එකේ හැප්පුණා. හැප්පුණා පස්සේ අලියා වැටුණා කෙලින්ම කාර් එක උඩට. ගෝවින්දන්පත් මිනිස්සුගේ ජීවිත විශාල විදියට හානි වෙලා තියෙනවා. මේකට නිසිවිසුමක් සතියක කාලයක් ඇතුළත දෙන්න නැත්නම් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මහ ජනතාවත් එක්ක වටලන එක වටලනවාමයි.
The driver of the car and her daughter were admitted to the Thalava base hospital for shock. According to a correspondent in the area, the driver of the car, who is pregnant, is not in a serious condition. An incident where an enraged elephant claimed the life of a monk was reported from the Katani area during a Perahara or procession.
With that, we wrap up Primetime News. I'm Bernadine Jayasinghe.
And I'm Shane Silva. Take care and good night.